Howdy, gang. And you may be wondering, why is Dana wearing this big jacket? Well, this big jacket is actually, it's oversized for me. I wanted to get a smaller size when I got this from Fright Rags, but I think a extra large or a extra large is all they had at that point in time when I tried to order it a couple, 2, 3 years ago. And I apologize in advance. These dogs want to go out. And it's like, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Um, I think they have radar, that they know that I'm coming back here to do something. And they're aggravating the crap out of me right now, barking. So I I'm waiting on Candice to show up, so I may have to remove myself from here and try to get these daggone dogs in. Um, I see that Candace was mentioning me in a post. I don't know. She was gonna. I think she was gonna get ready. She's gonna be kind of in costume as well. But anyway, I am Jimmy, and you could change this around, and you can be Bud. But Bud was funny on Halloween too, as one of the ambulance people. Hold on just a second, gang. Um, okay, Candace is telling me she's got computer problems. She'll be on in a sec. Um, just a little heads up, gang. Um, she has had slow internet and stuff today, so hopefully it won't cause too many problems with our show tonight. And I had forgotten to push. I'm always a day late and a dollar short, and I'm hyped up on caffeine too. Not hyped up on anything illegal, just hyped up on caffeine. So if I seem just random, like all over the place, that's why. But anyway, this is the Jimmy jacket, one of the ambulance drivers or ambulance guys from Halloween 2, played by Lance Guest. So that's who I am today. And of course, I have my Friday Foolish alternate version. Oh, Candace looks so cute. I just seen her on there. And Candace, I'm going to get back to you on the private messages we were sending back and forth to each other as soon as we're done. I don't think anybody wants to hear what me and Candace were talking about, like back and forth. I'm sure not. Um, and I am going to be eating a little bit of this, and people that know me well are probably saying, Dana, you're diabetic. Why are you eating that? That's cotton candy. That's pure sugar. Well, I'm going to just have a little bit. This is green apple cotton candy, and I'd had a little bit earlier, and it was very, very good. But it's got the extra bonus, and I don't know if you can see that in there, the little black specks, but it has popping candy in it, which makes it extra cool. I'm just a big kid at heart, folks. I'm 48 years old, but I'll always be a kid at heart. And this kind of stuff just makes me want to eat it all up. So, I also have one that's mummy and it's blue raspberry. It doesn't have popping candy in it. But before I and again, I'm sorry, I'm hyped up on so much caffeine, it ain't even funny. So again, I'm not on speed or anything illegal. I'm just hyped up on caffeine. So today, me and Candice are going to have a Halloween special. It's going to be all things Halloween. We're going to try to keep it short, about an hour and a half, because Candice has some schoolwork to do, and I don't want to keep her from her schoolwork any longer than we have to. All right, so we're going to talk about all things Halloween, costumes, favorite candy. Um, I meant to tell this to Candace earlier because we haven't really talked about books on Friday Foolish, but if she wants to throw in some favorite stories or books that she might like to revisit during the Halloween season, I'm game for that as well. So this is kind of a Halloween free for all. Jack is joining me again, my friend Jack back there. Um, he is also part of my main Halloween costume when I'm going to be Laurie Strode for Halloween. I know you shouldn't pray for things like this, but I'm praying for cooler and good weather on Halloween. I was telling Candace, I said, I know I shouldn't pray for stuff like this, but Halloween's a big deal for me. So, I'm going to go ahead and add Candace here real quick so we can go ahead and get started. Hey, Candace, I love it. I love the makeup and
Thank you.
everything.
Got me with my mouth full. I was eating a chip.
And I'm going to
Uh,
go ahead and put the little, I may not leave this up here the whole time because it kind of covers up part of my thing. But with me and Candace both on the screen, it's not too bad. Um, so I've got my Happy Halloween, like and subscribe, lower thirds
I
banner.
like that.
And I made that. It's a combination of something from Motion Array, and also I added the Happy Halloween, like and subscribe to that. So, not begging for subscribers, but if you feel compelled to like and subscribe, then by all means, please do. Um, so, Candace, I didn't mean to talk over you, hon.
Oh no, that's all right. I was trying to finish eating that chip. I was trying to snickle me in before I come on there, but I think I got a little overzealous. But I'm a goat with my little
I
goat ears.
love it. I think it's so cute.
I had to
But
like throw something last minute, so that's all I could come up with.
you could be Black Phillip from The Witch,
Yeah,
or if we
yes,
want
I
to have a
could.
horror thing going on.
Yeah. I
And
said I need
I'm
to go look
I'm
and see what a goat looks like.
like I said, I'm Jimmy from Halloween 2,
Yeah,
Lance
I like
Hiss's
it.
character. So
Did you say that was like interchangeable too, right?
yeah, because you can. Well, if I can get it off of here. Oh, like I think I've got the bud one. I thought it was you could turn it around. Maybe you could. I haven't had this thing out in a minute, so um, no. I guess I'm gonna have to find Bud if I ever want to be Bud because I can't find him right now. But I'm Jimmy tonight. But it is interchangeable. If you bought one of these, you will actually have two of these little name tags, and they're Velcro, so you can pull one off and put the other on.
Yeah, yeah, that's neat.
Like I said, I don't dislike the Bud character. I just always liked the Jimmy character the best. Uh, Bud was kind of brash and,
Yeah.
cussed a lot and stuff like that. And, you know,
Well, so if you can't find him, you'll be all right with Jimmy, right?
yeah, I'll be all right with staying Jimmy.
What a day it's been, Dana.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had off today because I got to work 4 hours tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I always think, Candace, that I'm going to get a bunch of stuff done.
Oh,
And I never, ever
just
do.
forget that.
Yeah, I
That never comes to fruition.
might as well forget it. Yeah. And I can't keep my hands out of this cotton candy either. It's a popping candy.
Sorry that I was so late getting on here. I had to
Oh, no
restart the
problem.
computer.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Oh my goodness, I gotta restart this computer because I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know if it's our internet or if it's just the computer or what it is." But I finally got it to where it's like acting normal. So I don't know. I was trying to do homework earlier and it was just acting really weird and going like super slow. And I was like, "This is just not. This is something wrong here." Because my
Right.
got a really nice computer. It's one of these like Alienware type computers,
Mm.
so it
Yeah,
shouldn't be
those
like
are
slowing
nice
down like that.
computers. Yeah. I had one a few years back. Of course, it's unusable now, but when I got it new, it was great. So, um, but I don't know how Candace wants to kick this off. If she wants to, I did get a few pictures together. I've got some pictures from
Good.
Candace that she sent me that we'll do a little screen sharing here in a little bit, and we'll show some of them. I was like I say, I was a day late and a dollar short, and I didn't get as many pictures together as I would have liked, but I got a few that I
Well,
could show.
I only sent you like 3, I think, of mine anyway.
I think I got like four or so. So
Yeah.
we'll
I
we'll
had a
all,
bunch. I said, "I better not, send all these pictures." She'd be thinking, "Lord, Candace, they got all day to show all these pictures."
no,
I
it's
love
okay.
Halloween, how it goes. We love Halloween. It's something that we both grew up enjoying and loving and still into our adulthood,
Yep,
love it because a lot of people. And as a kid and as a teen, I kept on getting older and older and older, and tell me if you were the same way. I know that you probably were, because you love Halloween now.
yep.
I would see people complain, like adults
Hmm.
complain about having to take their kids to trick or treat, or complain about Halloween, complain about, just act like it was something. I was thinking, but I don't feel that. As I kept on getting older and older, I kept on thinking, when am I gonna start feeling that way? And I never felt that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
I
I
just kept on
prayed that I wouldn't get that way.
yeah, I just kept on loving it more and more and more, and even as an adult, I think I love it even more as an adult than I did as a kid. But when you're a kid, everything's magical anyway.
Right.
Um, but I've never grown out of it, so I guess
I
call
don't
me a
think it.
child, I don't know.
If we haven't grown out of it by now, I don't think we're going to grow out of it.
I don't think so either.
I
That or
used.
Christmas, I love both of them, but
Oh yeah. I
usually adults like Christmas, but Halloween is something that some people just grow
that
out of.
they
I don't
grow out of.
understand.
Unfortunately, I think it. I don't know if it's like the younger generation, younger than me and you, even.
Yeah.
It that they think it's I don't know, just too much. They just don't want to fool with
Yeah.
it, or what the deal is.
One good thing that I have noticed though, Dana, is that horror is starting to have a resurgence to the younger generation.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I'm hoping that that will kind of get the spirit of Halloween kind of, bumping again, again,
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
the blood
out
pump.
there.
Yeah, yeah, because I never, I heard this growing up, and the older I got, the more of this I heard about Halloween being an evil holiday, kids not celebrating it in their family because it was bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when did this happen? There was
Yeah.
no indication that there was anything bad about Halloween in my household when I was growing up.
No, same my way. I mean, my dad was very weird. If anything he felt was bad or anything like in that kind of way, he always would speak up about it. He didn't even say anything about, he enjoyed trick or treating when he was a kid and stuff. So he never minded trick or treat or anything like that. And I never knew anybody growing up who wasn't allowed to celebrate Halloween. I understand that there's some people that don't, and that's totally fine. If it's their beliefs or whatever, I totally respect that, but, don't bring other people down, and because I've
Yeah,
heard
make them feel
stories.
bad for
Yeah,
celebrating.
because
Uh,
I even went to the church and stuff for, like,
yeah,
Halloween, and they still to this day at like our church, they always have like trunk or treats and
Yeah.
like festivals and stuff to celebrate, and they welcome anybody. I mean, there's like little ghost face come in there, and like evil
Yeah.
clowns and stuff. They don't
Mhm.
say, "Oh, you're wearing a costume that doesn't, look like
Doesn't
it should belong in the
conform.
church. Get back out." No, they welcome everybody to come in,
Right.
and "Oh, I like your costume," or "You're scary," or something, like that. I mean, that's how you reach people. I mean, you don't scare them away.
No. I think the first time I ever heard anybody my age especially say anything about Halloween being a evil or bad holiday was when I was in middle school. One of
Hmm.
my friends said, "Oh, we don't celebrate Halloween at my house anymore
Oh.
because it's evil, it's bad." And I was
So
like,
you
"Huh?"
knew somebody who actually was like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm sure that I've just never encountered it personally. Everybody around here loves Halloween and stuff like thankfully. Now I do remember as a kid though, there being more people putting up decorations, celebrating and
Oh,
stuff like
yeah.
that. And I've noticed the kind of the trickling down. But like I said, it's starting to have a resurgence. I'm
Mhm,
starting to see more and more people again decorating and stuff, and I
mhm.
love it. I mean, because every day is Halloween around my house. I mean, my living room is Haunted
Yeah.
Mansion themed. My hallway is the Munster theme. We spooky stuff stays up all year round. It's not like something that we just put away. Some stuff is just for Halloween for decorating and stuff, but
Right.
a lot of it, because we actually collect Halloween stuff, like vintage Halloween type stuff, or Universal Monster stuff. It stays up all year round.
Yeah.
Now some people might walk into my house and be like, "Well, this is crazy."
If
Who does
Steve would
that?
let me, I'd leave stuff up all year round, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, he won't allow
But,
me to.
that's what makes me happy. And I'm sure it makes you happy and Chris happy. That it makes us feel like we're surrounded by things that we enjoy. Doesn't have to, just like Mick Foley, the wrestler. You know who Mick Foley is, I'm sure. Mankind and Cactus
Yeah.
Jack, Dude Love. He is obsessed with Christmas. So Christmas is all year round in his house, and I see nothing wrong with it. Hey, if you loved Thanksgiving and you wanted Thanksgiving themed stuff in your house all
Yeah.
year long, you have a right. It's your home, it's your space. I think you should be able to do that.
Mhm.
So I just think, uh, I don't know, it's fun, Dana. It really is.
Yes.
Halloween
Yeah.
is fun. It
To
is.
me, Halloween is innocent. It's all what
It
you
is.
make of it.
Yeah.
If you want to be bad and you want to go out and egg people's cars, I know one year on Halloween when I was a kid, my dad used to be on a bowling league, and I
Yeah.
and
Well, that's
he
awesome.
bowled, he bowled on Monday nights, I think, but he was a lot younger then, so he could stay up late and do that. But I remember him coming home one night, and it was Halloween. I guess they had had a special like Halloween bowling
Yeah.
night. And dad came home and he was pissed off because some kids had egged his car. He was just driving down the road and this other car come past him and they threw eggs all over his
Oh my god.
windshield.
Well, I
I
kinda
seen
have it
my dad mad for the first time ever on Halloween. That's
I kinda had the same experience, but not driving. I had my very first car, which was a black Volkswagen Beetle,
hmm.
and, I had named him Ringo. So,
Oh, I
fittingly,
like it.
and, I had walked outside, and it was the day after, Halloween, and there was egg all over my car. Somebody went by, they didn't touch my parents' car or the ambulance service cars that they lived by.
It's like, why are they mad at my
The only car that had been egged was my car, and
They
it
don't
had
like
egg
Volkswagens or
all over.
what? Volkswagen.
I was thinking, "This has to be from somebody that don't like me or something like that." I mean, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Um, but that egg was hard to get off because it was unusually hot, which isn't very unusual anymore, at that time, and it was, like, cooking on my car.
Oh my gosh.
Because I must have stayed inside until he got probably afternoon or whatever,
Mhm.
and it had started, like, making fried eggs on my car. I'm lucky it didn't damage it.
Yeah, I would have been really mad, especially if it damaged it.
Yeah.
But I guess we can segue this into, I guess we can start this out or kick this off with talking about um, favorite Halloween costumes, or if we
Okay.
were just rich and money was no object, what kind of costume would we have? And we got 7 people in here right now, I see. So if y'all want to put things in the chat, if y'all want to comment on what we're talking about, or you want to
Yeah.
bring up favorite Halloween costumes you had, or something that you, if you had a endless amount of money, would you, what would you do with that as far as a Halloween costume or decorations or anything like that? Um, and Candace, if you want to start off, since you're the guest co-host, I want to turn it over to you to talk about.
Okay. Well, if I had an endless supply of money and I could, like, choose any kind of costume that I wanted, like, go all out, huh, that would be that'd be hard to think about, but I don't know, Dana. I know that I would want something probably eccentric with lots of, like, it's like special effects. What's that
Oh yeah,
that girl's name? Is it Heidi Klum? Is she the one that goes all out with all these awesome costumes every Halloween?
can't
Like, she was like a
remember.
worm one year, and then she was like Fiona from Shrek, and um,
And you might be right
Aesop.
on the name. I'm just kind of just.
Yeah, there's like a celebrity. I think it's Heidi Klum. She goes all out and her costumes are really awesome. You need to look it up if you've never seen it. Like, she was like a worm one year and she looked just like a worm. And it was really
Like a caterpillar like worm
no, a
or
earthworm.
earthworm. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to check
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah. She was an earthworm. It was really creepy. And she's like Fiona from Shrek. She's just like
Mhm.
a lot of really cool stuff. Um, so I would like for it to be something like that. I don't know. Um, I'd have to
Hey,
think
Daniel.
about I'd have to
That's
think
a
about that. Hey
Daniel's a
Daniel.
new person, I think, Candace. He just
Okay.
says, "What's up?"
Well, welcome. But as in, like, buying things, like decorations and stuff, I would really love since we do have, like, the Haunted Mansion, like, theme, in our living room, I would like to buy stuff that's really, you know, like, cool to go in there, like pillars. I would, like, make it look just like the Haunted Mansion. I would like to live in the Haunted Mansion if I had a mount like
That would be awesome.
yeah, like 1313 Mockingbird Lane, like
Yeah,
from the Munsters or the Addams. I would love to live
exactly.
in a house like that. That would be my dream probably.
Mhm.
But my favorite costume that I've made myself, would probably have been probably whenever me and Noah and Chris went as, like, the Courage the Cowardly Dog. I think I sent you a picture of that one, and I was Muriel.
Uh-huh.
And, Chris was Eustace, and Noah was, Courage.
Uh-huh.
That was a really fun cosplay to do because as we were walking, people was like, and, "Oh, look, it's Courage," and it was just fun. Um,
Actually, I could probably bring up that picture. Hold on just a second here. Let me.
Noah was probably 3 or 4 when we went, and we were the Courage
Oops, that's not the right
crew.
one. Hold on.
But he loved I just took, like, a little pink jogging outfit and made
Oh,
his
yeah,
little
yeah,
outfit.
yeah. I think I found it. I like this one. Hold on, let me see if I can share the screen. I've got that up right now,
Okay.
so people can.
I still have that little outfit that I made him. It was cute, I thought.
Okay, so hopefully everybody can see the picture I've got up there
Yeah.
right now.
And I
Uh,
had made Chris a mask. I don't know if you've ever watched Courage or not, Dana, but
I
he
don't
used
think
to
I have.
there's a episode where he like his face turns into like a big green, like ugly face, and I had made that big huge face for Chris. I didn't send it to you, but we would go around walking and Chris would stick it on whenever somebody would want to look at him or something. But that was fun. That was really fun trying to, you know, get in that role of this old lady because I love Courage. If you've never seen
Right.
it, it's real. It's for adults. My mom loved it too. It's
I'll
children,
have
but
to
it's for
check
adults.
that one out.
Yeah, it's really creepy and um, it's a really cool little cartoon. But that's probably my favorite cosplay. But like with Noah, he loves dressing up and stuff. So um, the um, what's his name? There I'm going blank, Dana. Um, what's his name from Halloween?
Uh,
I'm going blank.
you talking about the
Noah.
killer?
Who Noah
Oh,
was.
who Noah was?
My God. That's so embarrassing, Dana.
Donald Pleasance's
Donald
character, Doctor
Pleasance, yeah.
Loomis.
Dr.
Yes.
Loomis. Oh my gosh. Now, Dana, you know that I'm getting bad whenever
Well,
I can't think
I
of
stumbled too, and then I was thinking, oh yeah,
I
Noah
couldn't
was
think what
Doctor
in the hell he
Loomis.
my my mind was like it's like that, people,
Steve
honey. I
even
can't
knew he's
remember
like Loomis.
I can't remember my age half the time. So, you gotta look over
I can't
over
remember my own name
I
sometimes.
can't
It's
remember
crazy.
half the Dana knows how bad it gets. I have fibromyalgia and I get brain fog and stuff a lot, and it like the simplest of things that I know, I'm like, I can't think of this. But what would you do, Dana?
Um,
I'm still thinking about mine, what I would be.
well, I was thinking about it as Candace was talking because I've tried to think on and off before we did the show. But me being the huge Evil Dead fan that I am, I would love. And a few years ago, I was Ash. About a year or two ago, I was Ash. But and I wish I could find that picture, and I couldn't find that picture, or I would show you guys and gals. But I would love to have like a high tech, really super duper Ash costume with a
Yeah.
maybe not a working chainsaw because that would be dangerous, but a chainsaw maybe without the chain on it that the motor would run and stuff like that, and that I could come up with some kind of way to attach it where it looked like I didn't have a hand, but the chainsaw was on there. Heck, if it was unlimited amounts of money, I could probably do like they did in the movie
You could, yeah.
and do that. But I would love to have like screen specific or screen perfect costume that looked
Yeah.
just like Ash. That I think that would be the ultimate costume for me.
I just thought of something, and it would probably be like, because it's something that I actually had thought about wanting to do before. And that is Uncle Fester.
Yeah,
Like
Uncle
an Uncle
Fester.
Fester, like the Christopher Lloyd Uncle Fester. I don't know. I just like there's something about that and I've been trying to get Noah to cosplay this because I think he would be perfect for it. Is whenever he is married to um Joan Cusack.
Mm-hmm.
She's like like the Black Widow, and
Right.
she's got him in this like a yellow turtleneck, and he's got like this heart shaped apron on. That would
Mhm.
be something that I would like to do. I would like to probably cosplay as that, which I probably could still do it. But I think that yeah, Debbie Chris.
Debbie.
Uh,
Hey, Chris.
I think Noah would be so cute playing that. But that would be really cool. Um, Also, probably maybe like a really high quality like killer clown or something like that would be
Oh,
cool.
yeah, that would
Yeah.
be awesome.
Or I'll tell you something I would really like. And these are expensive. So if I had unlimited amounts of money, this would be probably my number one pick. Just thinking about it, and I'm glad I thought of it because it's probably what I would choose is a Ghostbuster, like with the real high quality like
Yeah,
pack and all the equipment and stuff like that. And that stuff can get really expensive,
yeah. It
especially
has
if
the
you.
proton pack and all that
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah, that would be neat. I would like that. I think that would be my choice.
And I see we got another new person in here too. I'm just going to call him Bud. Um, he said, "Guess I'd love an alien costume from movie Aliens, LOL, or maybe a giant gizmo from Gremlins, and I
Yeah,
think
that'd
both
be
of
cool.
those are awesome.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Um, anything like that, or like a high quality like Beetlejuice or
Mm.
something like that would be neat. But I don't know, Beetlejuice, it's hard to pull him off unless you kinda look like Michael Keaton. Don't you think?
Yeah, because I think Michael Keaton, his face just
Yeah.
adds to the whole Beetlejuice thing. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying Michael Keaton's got a weird face, but because Michael Keaton has really been the only one to
Yeah.
play Beetlejuice, I can't imagine Beetlejuice without the Michael Keaton facial
No.
features.
No,
I
I
just
couldn't
can't.
either. I couldn't either. It would be odd. But when you were a kid, Dana, what was your favorite, like, costume that you
I'm trying to
went as?
think, because I've said this before, I'll say it again. God bless my mother. She dressed me like cute things, cute little clowns, cute ghosts, stuff like that
Yeah.
when I was too young to pick
Yeah.
out my own costume. When I got a little bit older and started actually going through the kid costumes, I would start getting the scary stuff.
Yeah.
And then as I got into my teenage years, mom was just left out of it altogether, bless her heart. And I would come up with my own stuff. So I'm trying to think what one of my, because I've got several favorites when I was growing up. This was mainly though after I got out of the trick or treat
Yeah.
era, and I was just dressing up as an adult and I was handing out candy. I really liked the year I was Michael Myers.
Yeah.
The kids seemed to like that. Um,
Hey, Dana.
hey, Chris.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to come in here and let Candice know that after hours of trying to do it, I was able to get the Trick or Treat 4K from Synapse's
All
website.
right, awesome. That's a great Halloween
Okay.
present right
Well,
there.
thank you.
Great,
Now
great job, Chris.
I feel better now.
Yeah. So I got the cover C, the one it's got like the kind of red background on the case.
Yeah, that one was cool too.
Yeah, that was my favorite of the because it's new art too.
Right.
The two other covers were previous designs for Fright Rags t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're cool too. I think they're very. But I really like that C cover with the red background and everything. I think it's really going to pop when you put it on
I
the shelf
think
for the
so
rest of the
too.
movies.
Yeah. And Steve, but both our husbands hit a home run today because Steve got me a copy of it from Diabolic. So we're
Those
gonna
sold
give.
pretty
Well, see,
quickly
I
too.
looked at them as soon as they went on sale, but I was like, I had no idea they were going to like go crazy selling out like
How did you
that.
end up getting it?
Well, I one of my friends actually on Facebook said that he was able to get his. That's not sold out everywhere. He said I was able to get mine an hour ago from Synapse. I was like, well, I'm not able to get on their website.
I hadn't either.
And right after I posted that to him saying I'm not able to get on there, I went tried again and it let me on.
I have tried 1,000 times more. I mean, I've been telling Dana. I was like,
Yeah.
I've tried 1,000 times.
But I got it. But I'll leave you guys.
Yay.
Thank you for letting me know. Now I feel a little bit more happier than I was.
Yeah, now Candace is glowing now because
He's
she's.
like, yeah. I had that in the back of my mind. I was like,
Well, I guess me and Candace won't have to discuss that because that's what we were going to discuss after this.
Yeah.
But I am going to listen to all her messages though. But
Oh my goodness. I
so
don't have to be mad anymore.
or disappointed or
Yeah.
as Steve would say, disappointed. He was yelling out there.
Look at I was going to show my shirt real quick, Dana.
Oh yeah, cool.
It's
Oh, I love that.
Got a really cool they had some awesome shirts at Scarefest, so we took the opportunity to buy some. This is one of them.
Steve, you say play them on stream. Play what on stream, hon?
Oh, the messages. No, don't play them on
No, I'm not gonna. No, we're not gonna play those messages. Those are personal messages between me and Candace. I don't play that kind of stuff. At first, I was like, "What does he want me to play on the stream?" I think he's kidding. I hope he's
Yeah,
kidding
so
because I'm not gonna
maybe
do.
not.
You never can tell with Steve if he's kidding or not. But so yeah, Michael Myers was one of the favorites I remember. One year I dressed as the killer from prom night. And that one was fun. Candace gonna kill me for this one. One year I was Reagan from The
Oh
Exorcist.
gosh.
After she become demonized,
Oh gosh.
Candace
Dang.
wouldn't come within 2 feet.
No.
She'd
It'd
be
be
like, "You
hard.
stay away from me. I'm gonna do the cross thing. Stay away." Uh, I was trying to think of some of the others that because once I got to where I was old enough to create my own costumes, it was like carte blanche. I would do whatever I could afford
Yeah.
to do. One year I was Carrie.
I was too. I
Yeah,
was Carrie.
did you have the blood on you and everything? I was
Yeah,
Carrie after she got the blood dumped
I
on,
did, yeah.
and I had my prom dress that I
Yeah.
actually wore to prom. My
Well,
prom.
I didn't get to go to prom,
Oh,
so I
yeah.
went to the thrift store and
Hmm.
got a really all it kinda looked like her dress, it's kinda like
That's
the
cool.
color and
Yeah.
stuff, and, my mom said, "You're gonna destroy that pretty dress." So, hell, I gotta be Carrie.
Well, what I did was because that was my actual prom dress, I didn't have the fake blood on it, but it was all over my face and on my
Yeah,
neck and stuff like that. But I didn't put it on the dress. If I had gone to a thrift store though, I probably would have done that, which
yeah.
what I should have done to complete it. I was Jason one year. I
Mhm,
was
I've
like
been
more
Jason.
of the Kane Hodder like version of Jason
Yeah.
from part 7. Um, so yeah,
I
I
was just a generic one.
with the hockey mask and so I had like a full over the head mask that looked
Oh, okay.
similar to what Kane Hodder looked
Yeah.
like in part 7. So um, I I have pictures of that somewhere, like actual printed out from a computer pictures, but I don't
Yeah.
know what I've done with them at this point. So mom found them and said, "Hey, remember Dana when you were like Jason from Friday 13th?" I said, "Oh my gosh, I forgot about this." Um, it's strange what you forget about as opposed to what you remember and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's probably several others, but those are like the big ones that stand out. I think I was Freddy Krueger one
Oh,
year
yeah. I
too.
I I don't think I was ever Freddy Krueger, but I remember everybody, especially in, like, the mid-90s. I don't know what it was, but sometime, like, around whenever, New Nightmare came out,
Yeah, what
I
was
just
that like
remember
94?
yeah, I just remember, like, being a huge, huge surge of Freddy Kruegers running around.
I
So,
think there was a resurgence in Freddy popularity.
yeah.
But I'll take this opportunity to show one of my pictures I've
Okay.
got. Let me give me just a second here. Well, maybe. Let's see if we can cycle through these. Oh, I'll show y'all one of my costumes from. Uh, I think this might have been the year before last, and I hope that everybody can see this one. Hold on a sec. I'm trying to get. Daggone. That's what I need to do. I need to close that out and reopen because for some reason my pictures are a little bit smaller than Candace's, so I hope everybody will be able to see this here in just a second here. So hopefully Everybody can kind of tell what that is.
Oh, is it Motel Hell?
Yep, it's Motel Hell. I am Farmer Vincent and with the pig's head on. Now, the only thing about this, I wonder if I can make this bigger.
I can use that little thing down here at the bottom, the little
Yeah, let me
magnifying
see if
glass.
I can.
There you are.
There, that's a little bit better. Yeah, I saw the little magnifying glass about the same time Candace did, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try to make it bigger. Yes, the only regret I have about this costume, though, is that after I bought that pig's head mask from Spirit Halloween, me and Steve went to Caulfield's, which is a big costume shop in Louisville. And as long as Steve had lived in Louisville, he'd never went to Caulfield's. And a couple years ago, we decided to go. And we went, and Candace and everybody else that's watching this in here, they had an actual, I believe, was it Trick or Treat Studios or was it? It was either Trick or Treat Studios or Don Post had created a mask that looked like an exact replica of the
Oh,
one
goodness.
Farmer Vincent had. And I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
But that looks good though. I like I like that. I call stuff cosplay. I don't know. I think it just happened
Yeah,
to hear Noah talk about it all the
cosplay.
time.
And I actually, what I did was I had some overalls, or I got some overalls from somewhere, and then I repurposed that shirt that's got blood, fake blood splattered
Yeah.
all over it. I repurposed that from a Leatherface costume
Mm.
that I had a few years back. So I repurpose things. You got to be on a budget. You repurpose things sometimes if you can. So yes, I was Farmer Vincent from Motel Hell. About a year or two ago. So
You should have planted just some dummy heads out in the garden, out in the yard.
yeah,
Dang.
I didn't even think about that, but that would have
Oh,
been
yeah.
a cool added
Mhm.
bonus to that.
It would have been.
X-Ray, that's the guy from Motel Hell. That is Farmer Vincent from Motel Hell,
Hey,
because me and Candace can say it together. It takes all kinds of critters to make Farmer Vincent's
Princess
fritters.
Critters. Yeah. Hey, was you handing out beef jerky?
I should have. I
Should
should
have.
have had like some beef sticks or some beef
Yeah.
jerky.
You
The
know,
kids probably would have looked at like, what the heck? What are you
hey,
giving me?
Noah would have looked at that and be like, "Yeah, beef jerky."
But
But
anyway, I'll stop sharing that one.
I love Motel Hell. That was one of the very first early, like, off. I guess that makes sense what I'm trying to say. Like horror films that I've seen as a kid. Like what I mean, it wasn't Jason, it wasn't Michael Myers, it wasn't like the big films. And I remember watching that for the first time with my mom, of
Mhm.
all people. And she's like, "Oh, this is gross," and I loved it from the moment I watched it. I
My
loved it.
mom always liked it. It was one that I watched
Yeah.
with my mom.
And I remember, I think one of the very first shirts I ever bought off of Joe, T-shirt Joe, I think it was him, was a Motel Hell shirt.
Yeah, I think he did have a Motel Hell
Yeah.
shirt. I got my first Motel Hell shirt from Fright Rag. Sorry, Joe. I bought some shirts from Joe and had Joe give me shirts over the
I
years.
remember they had the Motel Hell shirt, and I
Hmm.
didn't get one. I wanted one, and then I think it was Chris. If he's on here, he'll tell me who it was. We buy these jogging pants, these horror jogging pants. We have like Elvira, and my brother's got Elvira, and we have like different ones like Return of the Living Dead and all that stuff. They had some Motel Hell ones, and they sold out of
Oh,
our size before we could get them. But I wanted those so bad because those were so cool. It had Farmer Vincent down on them. It said Motel Hell on them.
oh, that's
Really
cool.
cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I think it was
Now,
Cavity Colors, maybe.
yeah, it seems like they have had some things like that. Now I know that Fright Rags usually has lounge pants, and I've got
Yeah.
several pairs of lounge pants.
Don't you have the Joe Bob ones?
I
Do you
have
have any Joe
Joe
Bob?
Bob ones,
Yeah.
and Evil Dead 2. I think
Mhm.
I have those as well. I need to get them out because hopefully it's get cooler weather and I can start
Yeah.
wearing my lounge pants.
Last night, it was so chilly. I loved it. My
Yeah.
mom was like,
Yep.
"It's so cold. It's so cold." I was like, "No,
Bless
it ain't. It feels good. I've been looking for this." I said, "Man, Dana's been looking for this kind of weather." And
yeah.
then I had to go to my nephew's Halloween parade at school and visit him at his Halloween party, Henley. And I wore a big old sweatshirt and stuff, and it
Mhm.
was blistering hot. I'm like, "It was freezing last night. Why is it blistering hot?"
Yeah, I know. It's just so crazy.
It's weird.
X-ray says X-ray says you look like one of the Gelflings from Dark Crystal, Candace.
I'm a goat, I guess is what I am. I mean, I had these little ears. I said, "I guess
I'm
I'm gonna be a
saying she's
goat."
Black Phillip from The Witch.
I'm whatever anybody wants me to be, let's just say that.
I
Well,
love Black Phillip, even though
there's some things, no.
he was an evil goat, but I love Black Phillip.
Which I love
Um,
goats anyway. I would love to have one. Chris won't let me have one, so
well, I think my dad had goats for a while. I don't think he's got them now. I don't even know if he's got a sheep now. He's either got sheep or goats now. I can't,
yeah.
he switches up so many times. But unfortunately, uh, my dad took the sheep to auction,
Oh,
and you know what happens to them
yeah.
after
Well,
auction.
mine would be for a pet. That's what I
Yeah,
would want.
yeah.
And we have like Chris said, "What are we gonna do with a goat?" Well, stick him out. Look at our land. We got all kinds of big
You
hill that he
can,
could graze on. I mean,
oh
clear out all
yeah,
that stuff for us. So,
keep all that
it's not like we don't have the
crop.
place for him. There's people here in Kentucky. I see them all over the hills. You know.
There's people not that have goats here in our neighborhood, but they've got roosters and chickens. Because you'll hear roosters crowing. Sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
right here in town, you hear
Yeah, our neighbors up at the hill, they had rooster. You don't see a lot of them right now. I don't know if they
Mhm.
just kinda got rid of them or what, but we used to have them come here to our over to our side of the road,
Right.
and, Miko, I don't know if you remember that, but one time Miko got out on my brother, and my brother had to go chase him all up and down the road and to get him because he was chasing that chicken.
Well, yeah, our dogs have gotten out too. Like, did I ever tell you that story about the mailman came one time and Sammy got out the front door? And Sammy's my
Oh my god.
dog that might bite. And Steve let out a scream, Sammy,
Oh
and took
my
out after him. And I guess that it's funny, but not funny. I guess
Yeah.
the mailman thought, oh my gosh, I'm about to be attacked by a dog. He threw mail everywhere, Steve said, and jumped the fence
Oh my god.
on
Was
the
it your
other
mail
side.
that he threw or just, like, random
Yeah,
mail?
I guess it was just random mail. And I was like, oh my gosh, Sammy probably wasn't even coming in that guy's direction. It's
I
just,
bet Steve about he'd probably think of what am I gonna do?
well, because
Oh,
Sammy is such that you can't even get him by the collar. When you get him close to the house, he'll twist around and bite your
yeah,
wrist trying to get
really?
away.
Mm.
But anyway, back to the Halloween stuff. We'll switch. No, he was heading for him. Okay, well it's been a while, but he jumped the fence, right,
Bet he
Steve?
was scared. I bet that mailman probably took a
Probably quit after
dig
that. I'm
down.
not going back to that neighborhood. There's crazy people and crazy animals there. Um, but I guess we'll switch gears and move into some of our we can simultaneously talk about favorite Halloween treats. It doesn't have to be
Oh, yeah.
candy,
Mm.
but we can also talk about too, along with that, any favorite Halloween like trick or treat or Halloween party memories we've got. Steve says, yeah, he threw the mail down and jumped the fence. Oh,
He
that
thought he was gonna get bit,
I think
didn't
I
he?
was at I think I may have been working at the library then, and maybe I was working nights or something, and Steve was home with the dogs, or maybe it was a Saturday. I could have been working on a Saturday or something. But anyway, I'll push it back to Candace. If you want to talk about favorite Halloween treats, favorite Halloween memories, or anything like
Well, as a kid, I always loved, and you don't see them like you do anymore. I would love to come upon a bag of them, but at least around here, you don't see 'em. The little black and orange, like peanut butter candies. Do you know 'em? Like the
that.
taffy?
I love those, but there were some kids growing up that didn't like
A lot
those.
of them didn't like them. I would take every one anybody wanted to give away. I was like, "Hey, give them to me if you don't like them." Um, but I miss those because 'cause I've not seen those in forever. I don't know if you get them, like, in a mix bag or something like that maybe
Yeah, I
now, but
don't know. I haven't seen them for years.
no, you used to get and I always loved getting, like, the Heath bars and stuff like that, and all other kids
These
was like,
bars.
"Oh, I don't want no toffee," but that was my favorite thing. Like, I love toffee or anything like a Rolos and stuff, and kids
Mhm.
would get mad if they got that kinda or Whoppers. That was
See,
my favorite kind of
Steve doesn't like Rolos. I love
I love them.
Rolos.
Yeah, like, I could care less about Skittles or anything like that, and I used to love M&Ms, but I'll tell you what happened, and I don't eat M&Ms no more because my favorite M&M was the tan M&M. Do you remember the tan M&M?
I do briefly, yeah.
There was something about that tan M&M, and I know they all probably taste the same, but it tasted different. I don't know if it was just the power of
I think
suggestion.
the visual thing makes us do.
Yeah, and I loved it. I felt like that in Wayne's World too, where that guy's talking about, um, taking all those M&Ms out for Ozzy. I forget what color he said that, um, he wanted, like, just a whole bowl of, like, brown M&Ms or something like that. I felt like that kid because I always
Yeah.
would just pick that tan M&M out and eat it, and it just tasted good, but after they stopped producing the tan M&M, it just didn't taste right anymore. They didn't taste good,
Well,
and
my mom
I don't
says the
know.
plain M&Ms now, she says she don't know what they've done to them, but they just don't taste the
They
same.
don't taste the same. No, they don't. I'm thinking, because it was after they stopped producing that tan M&M, they just tasted different to me, like the whole bag of M&Ms, any
They must
color.
have changed the formula or something.
Must have because they weren't good anymore. So I didn't need them anymore. I was like, "Hey, forget that." But I always loved getting stuff like that. I always like the stuff that other kids didn't like. They're like, "I don't want this." Remember those little, what they called, a bit of honey?
Yeah.
Like, I love that kinda stuff. Or Tootsie Rolls and stuff, and kids just don't like that stuff no more. It has to be like this, like, what is it? Like sour, like rope and stuff like that. I don't like stuff like that.
I like it to a degree, but since Candace was bringing up these things, it made me think about chocolate. There are a lot of kids that don't like chocolate now.
Yeah, yes.
They would
Yeah.
prefer Skittles
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
like that. My nephews are like that.
yeah. Um, like, I got, like, made little, like, treat bags or treat boxes for, um, my, nephews and my son, and, they like gummies and stuff like that, but I also bought, like, some Snicker bars and put them in there.
Mhm.
Both my nephews were like, "Oh, you can give those to Noah, we don't like Snicker bars." Like, "What?"
It's like, what's wrong
Mm,
with you kids? Y'all
mhm.
don't like Snickers.
But I see where, Alex said that they like, the Trolley sour gummy worms. That's what my son and my nephews like. They like those. So and I think Chris likes them too.
Now, Alex, they're a new person. Alex says, my favorite candy is Trolley sour gummy worms. Now, I like
Yeah,
gummy
that's what
worms.
Chris likes those, and my son likes them, and my nephews like those. But I'll tell you, there's this new type of gummy that they produce. They're called like 4D gummies, and they come in different shapes, like blocks and stuff
Oh,
like
I,
that.
I
Those are
think I
really
know what
good.
you're talking about. Yeah. I don't
Those
think
are
I've
really
had them
good.
though.
like you could see through them. They're like really like crystal clear and stuff, like whatever shape they're in.
Mhm.
And I had got them some for their little treat boxes I had made for them, and they were like burgers and fries and colas, and it's really cool and cute looking. But I also see that they like Twix and 1,000 grand bars. I
Yeah,
love those too. I like
yeah.
Snickers too.
I don't think Steve likes Twix, but I
I
don't
love
know about
Twix.
100,000 gram bars. I like both of them.
I love those. I love those. Um, but I think my favorite would probably be, I don't know. I like paydays, but I take the nuts off of them. Does that make
Oh,
any
well,
sense
no.
to you?
I mean, that's not weird or anything. That's just interesting.
Yeah, I take the nuts off because I think they ruin it. But I like the salt that's on it. I'm weird. I'm weird when it comes to stuff like that. Um,
Just, I'm trying to remember though. It's been a minute since I've had a payday. Do they have some kind of nougat
it's
in?
got like this caramel or
Okay,
caramel, whatever
that's
you like to say,
yeah.
caramel, but it's got like this caramel like nuggety type stuff in it, and it's got like finely crushed peanuts, I think, on the inside. That's in that nugget. Now I don't like Babe Ruths. I don't like those,
Oh,
but I like.
I love Babe Ruth.
I don't know. It's got too much of chocolate with the nuts. I just don't like that. I
Just
like
too much.
Snickers bars. They don't have like they're not overran with peanuts.
What
So
what about Butterfingers,
I
Candace?
like Butterfingers.
Uh,
They're not
my
my
mom used to
favorite.
absolutely till bless her heart she started losing all her teeth.
Yeah,
She loved Butterfingers. Now,
yeah.
it's hard for her to eat them.
Now, I liked Butterfinger BBs whenever they made those, and
Mm,
then they stopped making those, and then
yeah,
they used to make this Butterfinger BB ice cream. They come in these, like,
yeah,
little cups, and you get them. They're like, they look like bonbons or something,
yeah.
but I loved those, and then they stopped, you know, they stopped making them. They stopped making everything that's good, so I don't know. But I see that Tom says a whatchamacallit,
Yeah,
and
I
I
love watching my college.
yeah, those my mom loves those. She loves those. And my dad loves Zero bars.
Mm.
You ever
Oh
eat
yeah,
a Zero
that's
bar?
got the white chocolate
It's got
on
the
them.
white fudge on it and caramel and nuts and peanuts and like some kind of nugget, I think. I really like those too, but they are too sweet for me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
they are a little bit almost
Yeah.
too sweet for me.
I'm not a big
Uh,
sweet eater. We're sitting here talking about sweets, but I'm not the biggest sweet eater. I'm not huge on desserts or anything like that. But I do like some every now and then. And so, yeah, I was always the kid though that liked the stuff that nobody else liked for some reason. Like I like Reese cups, and I was never like oh I love Reese cups over everything. And it just seemed like everybody when it came to chocolate, they always wanted the Reese cups.
mhm.
So, and I wasn't the one that's like, "Oh, well, I'll trade you this Reese cup for that Heath bar that you got." And candy
Right.
corn, I love candy corn. I think we've
See,
talked about this before. Anything like that.
I love
Mm,
candy corn. Well, I like candy corn,
yeah.
but I love the mellow cream pumpkins.
Yeah, I love anything mellow cream because that's kinda what the candy corn is kinda like that mellow cream, I guess, is what you would
But don't you
call it.
think that the mellow cream pumpkins have a little bit different taste than the candy corn? Just a little bit.
Yeah, they do. Um, they're very sweet, which candy corn and stuff like that, anything sugary is really I have to eat it in moderation because it's
Yeah, exactly.
very, very sweet, like, I'll take up 1 or and eat it, or if it's the pumpkins, I'll eat 1, or if it's the candy corn, 2 or 3 or something. I couldn't sit down and just eat and eat and eat and eat, but I love them. I love the way they taste and stuff like that, so, I was always excited to get stuff like that, and popcorn balls, like, whenever people would make, like,
Yes.
homemade popcorn balls, I was always excited for that.
Mhm.
But, some kids just turn their nose up and stuff like that.
Well, now Noah, your son,
Mhm.
he's Noah's a a special child, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I
Yeah.
mean that Noah's a lot like we were as kids.
Yes. Yes.
I just get that feeling, but he's a one in a million kid, though. You don't see that very often, and he's into the horror movies, and
Oh,
he's
yes.
and I think a big part of that, and I've said this before to Candace and Chris, is that I think it's a big part of it is the way Candace and Chris have raised him. They have raised him in an environment that horror movies don't have to be scary. They
Yeah.
don't have to cause you nightmares. Now, are they going to show him every horror movie? Are they going to show him Terrifier? No, they're not going to show him
Yeah.
Terrifier, but they will show him the ones that they deem that he can handle at the age
Yeah.
he is right
Yeah. And he kinda finds them on his own. He
now.
kinda knows his own limit and stuff like that, and loves stuff like that. And you know what? We always have introduced, like, the classic stuff to him because, I mean, the kid likes Andy Griffith's Show and stuff, The Addams Family and The
Yeah,
Munsters and stuff because he's seen us watch them.
right.
Some kids be like, "What's that?" But that's how kinda I was raised, which
Yeah.
I kinda was, in the '90s. Like the Nickel at Night stuff. The Nick at Night was, like, huge back then, and that was a part of a lot of kids',
TV Land,
nightly routine.
all that.
TV Land, yeah, it come a little bit later, but, like, the Nick at Night, like what it was it, the Block Party type stuff. They had, like, the I Love Lucy, the Monkees, Dick Van Dyke Show, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, the Munsters, all that good stuff, and you would watch all this but it's kinda up to us now since they don't kinda play that stuff on TV, which I don't have cable. We don't have cable. We do the Pluto TV and the
Right.
subscription type stuff now. So it's kinda up to the parents and stuff to kinda introduce that stuff to the kids.
And my
So
mom tried to introduce me to that stuff when I was a kid, and I kinda laughed at it,
really?
but now, except for, like, I would watch I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
I would watch Dick Van Dyke
Mhm.
and stuff like that, but for some reason, I always made fun of the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh, I
I'm
love it.
almost ashamed to say that
Yeah.
now because I like that show
Yeah.
now. I appreciate Andy Griffin. I appreciate Don Knotts playing
Yeah.
Barney. I understand that now.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that humor, I guess, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I watched the other stuff. I would watch the Addams Family, the
Yeah.
Munsters. Later on, Three's Company came along in the
Yeah.
70s. I would watch Three's Company, All in the Family. It just
Yeah.
all of the Jeffersons, all of those classic television
Mhm.
shows. And I pretty much grew up on them. And then
Yeah.
out of that grew, Bosom Buddies. I loved Bosom
Yeah.
Buddies. I mean,
Yeah.
Bosom Buddies is really what introduced me to Tom Hanks. I
Yeah.
don't know how many other people it introduced them to Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari as well, God rest his soul. But they were great in Bosom Buddies. And am I right, Candace? Did Bosom Buddies only last 2, maybe 3 seasons?
It wasn't one of those shows that lasted very long, no. It was kinda like the, Perfect Strangers. I think it kinda because I loved it when it was, like, actually
Perfect
playing,
Strangers was
I think.
great too.
Let me see.
But I think somebody said about Bosom Buddies is once everybody figured out that they were guys, kind of the funniness wore off
2
of it.
seasons, yeah. 2 seasons. Yeah, because I mean, that could only go so far, you know what I mean?
Right. But
But,
the whole thing about Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari dressing as women so they could live in this apartment building, I just thought that was so funny.
so Perfect Strangers actually lasted 8 seasons. I
Yeah,
remember it in the '90s, though. So that's probably the reason why I thought that hit because I didn't realize it was from, like, the '80s like that.
right.
I just remember discovering it on TV, like, in the very early '90s, like, I was just a little kid, like 3 or 4 years old, and I would watch it. I was what is his name? Balky? Balky?
Balky, yeah.
I was in love with him. So
I know he was like, okay, so there's a difference between watching Bronson Pinchot and
yeah.
something like Risky Business
Yeah.
and watching him as Balky
Mhm.
Bartokomous on Perfect Strangers because Balky wasn't innocent. He was
Yeah.
almost like a child. He didn't know
Yeah.
better. He
Yeah.
was from a totally different culture and
Yeah, kinda like
environment.
Walter Gravitz from, Taxi, kinda had that kind
Right,
of
exactly.
charm to him,
Fish out of water type of
Mhm.
deal, and
Yeah.
things that uh, would be normal to people in the United States, like the language, the slang,
Yeah.
the stuff like that. He was like, "Huh? I don't get this." And so cousin Larry was always having to, get poor Balky out of trouble, and sometimes Balky would have to get Larry out of trouble as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So, but I remember since Candace brought up Perfect Strangers, I love Perfect Strangers,
Mhm.
especially the early shows. But a show that the first episode of it, the pilot episode of it, where Balky shows up at Larry's
I
apartment.
remember that episode, yeah.
And, Larry's trying to be nice, but he's like, I've never been able to be alone. I grew up in a household with a bunch of brothers and sisters and my parents. And he says, I really, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I really don't want somebody living with him. And Balky just, his face falls and he's just, I'll just go away then, cousin Larry. It's like, and Larry feels so bad, and so he invites him back in. But
Yeah.
now I watch that, and I'll just,
I've
I'll cry.
I've not seen it since I was a kid. I remember whenever it ended. That's why I didn't think because I was, like, in the early '90s. I was 3, 4 years old, So, I didn't really realize that it was a show that had ran so long, and I've never
Mhm.
really looked into it. So, when I realized that, I said, "Wow, I didn't know that was that." I thought it was just some new show I was watching, but I remember, like, watching the Golden Girls when they were on
Yeah,
air. They were brand new shows at the time, and then they had spinoffs like of Empty Nest
yeah.
and stuff. I love stuff like that, which has nothing to do with Halloween, but
But
it's
they
not a
did have
like a
Halloween episodes,
they
so
did. And I'll tell you something. Talk about TV shows. My favorite, like, tradition, and it was something me and my dad always did, and I'm gonna miss it, I really am, because whenever I start watching these shows again, I'm thinking, me and my dad would do this, and always as a kid, me and my brother and my dad, we would watch Unsolved Mysteries.
yeah,
We'd get together, and whenever the DVD sets came out, he bought them.
right.
They had like a ghost set and I think a UFO set and bizarre murders, I think, and
Mhm.
maybe miracles or something like that. And we would sit and watch them, and he would tease me like whenever I started driving. I remember one time it was Halloween, and I went to take Chris home because we had went and done something,
Mhm.
and I had that Volkswagen Beetle, and I was coming home late at night, and it was like 12 or 1 at night, and my dad was a night owl, so he always was up, and my car ran out of gas
Mhm.
on the
Oh,
way
wow.
home, so I was in the middle of the parkway and probably about 30 minutes away from home and surrounded by nothing but highway and mountains. So my
Mm,
dad would always tease me because that episode of Unsolved Mysteries about that, Mary, what's her name? My gosh, I'm having another brain fog. I should never forget it because my dad would say it to me all the time. She's the woman on the side of the road that they would see at the, like, the graveyard, and
oh,
she
yeah,
would
yeah, yeah.
glow,
Mhm.
and, Resurrection Mary, that was her name.
Okay.
So I think it was, like, in Chicago or something like that, and, like, some guy took her home, and she said, "Well, stop here," and she got out at the graveyard, or he stopped at the
Mhm.
graveyard and turned around, and she had disappeared, and,
And
I'm sure my
and
dad
did isn't that the story where she was cold, so the guy gave her his jacket or his
jacket, yeah.
sweater or something?
Yeah, so I've seen that episode 1,000 times, and that was always a tradition, and I remember I'd ran out of gas, and it was around Halloween or something like that. It was during that season, I do know, and my dad called, or I called him and said, "Hey, Dad, I'm out of gas. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck here." My dad had let me, or my mom and dad, I had taken our dog. He was a miniature schnauzer, and his name was Watson, and we call him Waddy. And I asked him, I said, "Well, I'm gonna take Chris home because Chris was at my house." And I said, "I'm gonna take Chris home. Can I take Watson with me since it's gonna be late at night? And I'm gonna take him home." And Chris lived like 45 minutes away, in a different county.
Right.
And they said, "Yeah, you can take him." Just my dad was joking around, said, "Better take care of my Watson, take care of him." And I said, "I will." I said, "But he'll help me." And that's when I ran out of gas. And Watson was with me. And if Watson hadn't been with me, I would have been scared of my wits. So it was pitch black. All you could see was the big full moon. And it was one of those big, like harvest moons up in the sky.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it was shining so bright that it was just like the highway was glowing with the moon glow.
Mhm.
And I had called and I said, "Dad, I'm running out of gas. I need you to come to me." And he said, "Is Watson okay? You better not."
Oh, gosh. He's asking about
He
Watson.
was teasing me, but he stayed on the phone with me the whole time, teasing me, saying, "Candice, do you see the glow? Do you see Resurrection Mary? Do you see her coming
Oh,
up?"
wow.
Like, "Dad, shut up, shut up." He said, "Remember what Robert Stack said?" He was just like
It's like,
teasing
"Dad,
me
I'm
about that.
stuck out here in the middle of nowhere. Stop."
Yeah, and he really was creeping me out, and there was one point where somebody must have been walking in the middle of that highway or on the side of the road, and Watson, like, pointing. You know how the dogs, whenever they see something, they, like, point, and
Yeah, yeah.
they're
My
alerted.
dogs do it when I'm stuck here and Steve's at work and I'm by myself. They'll look at something. They'll sit and stare at something. I said,
Yeah.
"Don't do it. Don't do it."
Well, Watson did that, and he started growling. I said, "Dad," I said, "hurry." I said, "Something's out here. I hear something." And he said, "It's Resurrection Mary coming." And I was thinking, you know that you're probably not gonna see something like that, but it's like the power of suggestion. I was thinking,
Yeah.
is this glow? Is that moon glow? Is it going to turn into Resurrection Mary? But that was always back to what the Halloween. That was
Mhm.
always a tradition. Us gathering around with blankets and pillows and turning out all the lights and watching like the ghost episodes of Unsolved Mysteries. My dad was a big VHS recorder. He would always record off TV. So
Mhm.
he had all these like Unsolved Mysteries on VHS that he would record like in the 90s. So we always had them at hand when we wanted to watch them. Like he had thousands of tapes. My mom was actually going to the dollar store and buying VHS tapes, like the recordable ones,
Right.
every day because my dad was always recording stuff off TV. Because a lot of the times we didn't have TV, you know. So that was a good memory of mine, and I'm gonna miss that. I'm always gonna remember that though. And when I go down that road and it's late at night, I always think about that. So it was a good
I'm
memory.
gonna step away for just a second. The dogs have been
Yeah.
outside and they want to come.
But while she's gone, another kind of favorite episode of mine of On Some Mysteries. I think it was my dad's favorite episode. I can't remember the title of it, but it was this episode. And if you're big on Unsolved Mysteries, you probably will recognize what I'm talking about. It was this house that these men had went in together and bought or rented. I can't remember it, but I can't remember if they worked together and they were just taking this house over, like, where they wouldn't have to travel back and forth to their house, and it was, like, closer to their work, but it was at late at night when they would lay down, like, the walls felt like they were caving in, and all these big, like, banging noises and stuff like that, and, do you remember that episode, Dana, of Unsolved
I
Mysteries?
I don't think so, but that would freak me out though if that happened.
So they had like got one of their sisters and maybe their wives to come to show that they were, legit. Hey, we're hearing this stuff. We're there's stuff going on here. And their wives were all like in bed together, or the sisters or whatever they were. And they were laying there and they were like banging on the walls and they was like creaking and stuff. And they was going, "Ah." My dad loved
You
that
know what?
episode.
Maybe I might remember that
Yeah.
one because Steve and I we pick times where we watch a lot of the old
Mhm.
unsolved mystery shows. So as you were talking about that, I was like, wait a minute, I may have seen that one. Alex is wanting to know what's your favorite scream. They say mine is six. Mine's always going to be the first one, Alex. That's the one that kicked off the Scream franchise, and I always have a fondness for that. Candace, do you have a favorite?
Well, I mean, me and Scream. I've not really seen all the Screams. I never was
Right.
invested in the Scream films. Um, I was Ghostface one year though. Whenever it was popular, back when it first came
Mhm.
out, I was Ghostface. I remember being Ghostface one year. But I don't know. I watched the first one, and me and Chris went to the drive-in and seen maybe one or two of them. Um, I never was
But you're just
into
not a
them.
huge fan of those.
Well, I've never, like I said, I never say never,
Mhm.
because as I'm getting older, I start liking stuff I never thought I would like.
Yeah.
So I've not sit down and watched any of them since then. So it's been years and years and years and years. So if I would sit down and watch them,
Mhm.
maybe I might change my mind. So I would have to say the first one, because that's the one I've really seen, more than once and all the way through and stuff like that. So I would say the first one, but as of right now, it's just not my cup of tea. But then again, like I said, could rewatch them and fall in love with them. That's just how life works when you get older, I guess.
Batman's in here. Hey, Batman.
Hey.
He says, hi, Dana, Candace. Um, and Alex says, I guess the first one is their second favorite. And Batman says the first three are my favorite.
Mhm.
And Alex says that's fair. I think that's in
Yeah.
response to what you just said there.
Now, Chris, my husband, absolutely loves Scream.
He's
He
a
loves. He's got a ghost face tattoo. He loves Scream. And he's like, "Candace, you got to sit down and watch 'em."
it's like I don't know.
Well, it's not that I don't want to or that I wouldn't, because I love Matthew Lillard. Like, I
Yeah,
loved him before Scream or anything like that. I've always loved anything he was in.
right.
So, for that aspect of it, I probably should sit down and rewatch the first one and keep on, go from there again. So I've heard, hey, I don't can't believe you don't love these films. I was like, well, I don't know. I just never give it a try, I guess is what it is.
Batman says he shares a birthday with Nev Campbell,
Mhm.
so that's cool. I share a birthday with several people, including Robert England, who I just
Yeah.
met. Me and Robert England have June 6th birthdays, and Darcy the mail girl also shares the June
Yeah.
6th birthday, I
You
believe.
should have told Robert England that.
I was so flustered, Candace, that I was like, I know he probably thought, what in the world is wrong with this girl? Because I was so paranoid that I wasn't going to get to give him that gift. So I kind of like, I have a gift for you, Mr. England. He was
I'm
probably
sure he
like,
would have sit and talked to you about that, because he kinda acted like he wanted to, it wasn't like trying to rush us out of there or anything like that. I mean, the
yeah.
people was kind of, but he wasn't like, "Get out of here, kid,"
No, I don't think Robert England is he that's just not in his nature to
Mhm.
be that way.
Yeah.
But I think somebody had a talk with him prior
Yeah,
to
we had
this.
not kind of noticed that a little bit. But going back to Scream, I will say this, one of my favorite photo ops, and
Mm.
some people be like, "Well, you don't like Scream like I do. You don't deserve a photo op." But one of my favorite photo ops is the Scream photo op.
Yeah, yeah, that was
The
a good one
Scream,
because I've seen that
and
picture.
they all were so nice, so nice. It was Jamie Kennedy and Rose
Mhm.
McGowan, Neve Campbell, Matthew Lillard, David Arquette, and I may be forgetting something, but it was really awesome. I loved that photo op.
Yeah, that I've seen that on y'all's Facebook, and
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, that is a good one.
They were so nice. I mean, Neve Campbell and Rose McGowan, and they were just really, really kind and stuff. Matthew Lillard's always, like, above and beyond. No wonder
Yeah,
people, like, wanna meet him. I mean, he's always
yeah,
above
because
and
he
beyond.
he seems to have, and I don't mean this to be offensive, but he has a bubbly personality. Like he
Yeah,
likes meeting people. If you
yeah,
meet somebody that actually acts like they enjoy meeting fans, just like
yeah,
Robert England, even though that was very short. And
yeah.
Candace, had, I'm sure that he has a hard time remembering who he's met from time to
Yeah.
time through all the things. Even though Candace has met him multiple times
Yeah.
before, he's still like he was very nice, even in that short
Yes.
amount of time with me and Candace. And just instead of shaking my hand the way he just kind of, once he got the glove out of the way, he just kind of caressed my hand. It was just like
Yeah.
I just could have melted. And mom was like, when I was telling her that, she was like, I never thought Robert England was good looking, dang it. And I said, Mom, you don't understand. Robert England to me, especially in his younger days, was that I like nerds. I'm sorry. I do. Sorry, Steve, if you're still in here. You don't look like the classic nerd, but Robert England in his younger days, especially when he played Willie on V, he was the lovable, nerdy
Yeah.
guy. And I
And
just loved him.
it's also his charm, it's
Yeah,
his charisma and his talent. All of that is attractive. You
exactly.
don't have to be, a Rudolph Valentino or
Now,
Cary
I
Grant
don't
or
care
Rock
what
Hudson,
I
to
don't
to
care what
be
anybody says. He's got
mhm.
sexy eyes.
Yeah. I mean, you could be, Rudolph Valentino, for the old folks who know
Yeah,
who
yeah.
Rudolph Valentino is, like me. I'm obsessed with that kind of stuff anyway, so maybe I'm using people that's like, "Well, that's too old for me." Don't know who that is. You could look like somebody like that, or let's bring it up to date, like Jason Momoa. You could look like Jason Momoa
Yeah,
and be as stupid as a pile of rocks and rude and stuff, and it's unattractive, you
yeah,
know.
exactly.
But be Robert England and be suave and sweet and kind and
And a
talented.
gentleman and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Sophisticated, and that's a very attractive trait, all those things. So uh
What do you mean
you
100-year-old reference, Steve? What are you talking
Rudolph Valentino.
about? Oh, so what? If we want to talk about him,
The
we'll talk
sheep.
about him.
I love Rudolph Valentino. Chris would be rolling his eyes. He's like,
If he was on here with us, he'd be rolling his eyes. Wouldn't
yeah.
he? Well, before we get off the TV thing, I just wanted to bring up because Candace did mention the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Mhm.
And this, I swear to you, this does have a horror, sci fi, Halloween motif to
There
it.
were a couple episodes, yeah.
This is my all time favorite Dick Van Dyke episode. And Candace is probably going to know which one this is.
Yeah.
I laughed till I cried the first time I saw this because it was so funny. So it's the one that says if it looks like a walnut or if it looks like a walnut. I
Yeah.
just call it the walnut episode. So um Laura and Rob are it starts out the episode and they're watching TV, and yes,
Mhm.
they have separate beds, people.
Yeah.
Except when they had kids, a lot of times on these shows they would be in the same bed
It's
when
like
about the time.
Lucy. They
Yeah,
had the separate beds and stuff.
and I don't know if the Brady Bunch was like that. The Brady Bunch might have been the first one that they actually showed them in the same bed all the
Yeah.
time, if I'm remembering right. But Laura and Rob were in their separate beds, and Rob couldn't sleep, and so he was, going through the channels, and he landed on this horror sci-fi movie where he's that the main alien on there looked like Danny Thomas. So keep that in mind. And some people probably say, "Who the hell is Danny Thomas?" But for you old school people, you'll know who Danny Thomas is.
I love Danny
So
Thomas.
I do too, and he showed up on this episode too
Mhm.
because he was supposed to be on the show that Rob did promotions and
Yeah.
stuff for.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be like their guest. So
Yeah.
that was the big thing. Danny Thomas was going to be the guest on the show.
Yeah.
And so he hits on this movie and he's telling Laura, Laura, you got to watch this. No, 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 I don't like stuff like that. It scares me, Rob. I don't want to, I don't want to watch it. And he keeps saying, or like he looks like Danny Thomas. And he just kept trying to scare. And she said, "Stop it, Rob. I'm going to have nightmares." Well, it turns out that you don't know this at first, but it turns out that Rob is actually the one that has the nightmare.
Yeah.
And he dreams that he wakes up the next morning. And there was something about special walnuts in this movie that if you opened up a special walnut, you would get mesmerized
Yeah.
by Orlac. And so he wakes up and Laura is making walnuts for breakfast. He's like, "All right, Laura, joke's over. I know. I'm sorry I scared you for the movie. Are you going to give me some breakfast or not?" And she said, "Well, dear, I'm trying to give you breakfast." And she's like, "Do you want one walnut or two?" And it's like, instead of
Like
cracking
eggs.
she's cracking walnuts. And so he says, "Fine, forget it." He goes to work, and everybody's acting weird at work. And so then he gets completely freaked out, goes back home, and I'll never forget this scene. This scene made me laugh more than any of them. When he gets home, he's saying, "Laura, Laura, where are you?" She comes
The
sliding
closet.
closet on walnuts. And
Thousands of walnuts.
they said that was actually a dangerous thing, that could have went wrong.
Well, she's like laying on her stomach, isn't it? Or something. It's like this, and she's like comes out of that closet with all those walnuts.
Yeah.
That was really weird. Or she's like down on it, or so like surfing on the walnuts, and it comes
And
out.
when he sees Danny Thomas and he says, "You look like Danny Thomas." And he says, "What in the world is a Danny Thomas?" And it's Danny Thomas saying all this stuff. But that episode just had
Yeah,
me
that's a classic. Yeah,
screaming with laughter. I mean,
yeah.
the and what's the other one, Candace? Because I'm trying to remember the other one that would have had a Halloween.
Well, there's a couple more. There's one, and I wish I knew the names of them. I should have looked, but I didn't know we was going to be talking about it. But if you like the Midnight Show or anything, you can just type in kind of a synopsis of what it's about, and it'll tell you the title. But the one episode, there's about a UFO. Do you remember that episode?
Oh, I think so, Candace. I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
now.
that episode. But my favorite episode that has to do with like it's not my favorite episode, but it's probably my second favorite episode. My favorite episodes were Rob goes and he goes to a different dentist, and then he
Yeah.
goes and Jerry's looking at his mouth and don't want to show him the dental work, and he's got his fingers and he goes, look at it, just look at it. That's my favorite episode because he's like Jerry was away at like a dental convention. But probably my second favorite episode is where it's Rob and Laura and Buddy and Rosemary. They all go to this cabin, and when they get in there and stuff, it starts like they see like a face in a mirror, and like see all this like weird stuff happening. It's like it's haunted. It's haunted. I don't want to give away an ending just in case if people's not seen it or anything like that. But it's about a haunted cabin. And it's really, really awesome. Do you remember that episode, Dana?
I don't know if I remember that one, but I need to look it up because I
I'll
like
tell
to see
you
it.
what it's called.
But guys and gals, I'm sorry, but the Jimmy jacket's going to have to come off because I'm getting rather warm right now. So hopefully y'all saw it earlier.
It's called Ghost of A. Like somebody's initial with a dot next to it, a period. Chantz. Chantz. And it's season 4, episode 2. It says after a mix-up by mail for reservations at a lodge, Rob, Laura, Sally, and Buddy, Rosemary is Sally, are forced to spend a frightening night in a cabin that has not been used in years and is rumored to be haunted. And it's really it's hilarious. You just have to watch it. It's really hilarious. There's a scene where they're like all sitting in or laying down in this bed together. And every one of them, Buddy and Sally and Rob, and they're like sitting like this, and they got the cover all the way up to their neck, and they're just like looking. It's hilarious. But at the end, you find out what's going on. It's really funny.
Hey Brian, I hadn't seen you in here for a while. He was wanting to know what program I use to make my thumbnails. Well, I'm glad you asked that because that's, one of the things that's fresh in my mind. Not too many things are fresh in my mind anymore. But I use a combination of GenCraft, which is an AI program, and Photoshop. So I just combine the two things. Sometimes I will get images that are created from GenCraft, and I will use them to create the thumbnails. Like, for instance, the thumbnail we have for this show, that first image of me and Candace is the hot zombies there, in our leather pants and stuff. Um, that was actually created with GenCraft. I took a picture of me and Candace, and I think I put kick ass zombies or something in there, and it came back with this image. This was one of the images. And then the other image was created purely in GenCraft. I just put in jack o' lantern, and this was one of the first ones that come up. And I was like, oh, I like that one. So I kind of split the two and used them to create a thumbnail. Um, it's not true AI, but I get it. Well, all I know is it's called AI. The maker calls it AI, so it's called GenCraft. Yeah, yeah, just like you spelled it there. And I don't know everything there is to know about AI. Just if they tell me it's AI, I call it AI. But that's okay. I mean, people can, think of it different ways. But yeah, now, Brian, I will tell you that there's a for free version, and then there's the paid version that I get just so that I can make as many images as I want. If you use the free version, it's kind of limited. What's your thoughts on the movie Trick or Treat? Well, if you're talking about Trick or Treat from 1986, me and Candace both love it.
Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier.
In fact, we're both going to get a 4K of it now.
Yeah.
Chris was able to get one for him. And
Yeah, I was sweating there for a while. Dana knows all about it. Oh,
oh, so the
2007,
2007, I like
Trick or
that
Treat.
one. I like Trick or Treat as well. But my heart lies with uh, the 1996 Trick or Treat
Yeah.
with
Well, surprise, surprise, I'm not a fan. Chris'
of
husband is a
the
fan.
anthology Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband loves it. He's like a huge fan of it. Our friend Abby absolutely loves Trick or
Yeah,
Treat.
she does because
Um,
she loves. I know she loves Sam.
she loves
She's
Sam. She loves it. Now, I don't hate it. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate it. It's just not something that I loved or anything like that. It's just I don't know. Um, it's a good film. It's something that I enjoyed maybe watching once, but it was not something that I would want to watch over and over again. But like I said, I know a ton of people who love it, and I see a lot of little kids cosplaying as Sam
yeah.
all the time. So it must be pretty popular still.
Sam's
I
a
mean, to this
unique
day,
character.
he
I
is.
will say
Now,
that.
I do like the design of Sam, and I like um, I like the what do you call it? Like the design of him.
Hmm.
I think it's really a good design.
I think it's creepy and cute at the same time. If that's if that makes any
It
sense.
is. Well, that's what Abby said. Abby's like, he's creepy, but he's cute. And that's what she liked about him so much. So she actually had like a what do you call it? The like a not a dummy, but like a prop made of him.
Yeah,
Like a
yeah.
life-size prop. It was pretty
Mhm.
cool. It was really well made. Whoever made it. It looked just like a little boy.
Yeah,
It had
I think
hands
I've
and everything.
seen pictures of
Have you
that.
seen that?
Yeah.
That was really neat. I like that.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah. Uh,
Now, Candace, I don't want to interrupt you or anything, but we've already went to 7:33. Do you want to go to 7:45, or will that be too late?
no,
Or
that wouldn't be too late for me.
because I'm having such a good time, and we've had quite a few people come in here. People are, in the chat and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't want to make Candace late for her study time or her
Oh,
school time.
that's gonna come anyway, so no matter what time it is.
Brian's saying I'm hooked on all the horror stuff coming out of South Korea. I'm not aware of
Hmm,
anything coming out of South Korea. Can you give us some titles? I may want to check some of that out. He says they're taking over the genre. So,
really?
mm,
I know that, like, some really good, like, I've not watched them, but I've heard people talk about, like, some really good films coming from that way. Um,
it may be possible that Steve has watched them, and I
mhm,
just haven't
yeah.
haven't caught it. Um, But Alex, I will try to check out your stream tomorrow at some point. I do have to work for 4 hours tomorrow, so that's going to put me behind on my Saturday nonsense. So, and not that your stream is nonsense. I'm just saying I have a lot of nonsense that I do on Saturdays. Um, I'll have to check that out. Uh, you said you were you on Twitter? I think you said earlier.
He said, Twitch.
Oh, Twitch, sorry. I get Twitter and Twitch. I get all these things. I'm terrible, guys.
Is it still Twitter?
It's actually X, but I refuse to call it
Oh,
X because
yeah.
that's the Elon Musk thing. I'm sorry for you Elon Musk fans. I'm just not a fan of him.
I
Uh,
don't I've never used it. I mean, I did a little bit, but it wasn't like anything that I stayed on or anything like that, but I know a lot of people use it, and they were like, "I don't like the change, the name change."
I just refuse to call it X, even though
Yeah.
it says X and it's. Brian says Netflix has a lot of it. Hellbound, Kingdom,
Mm,
All of Us Are Dead, Alive, to name a few. Um,
wow.
I don't remember Steve watching any of those. Steve, if
That's
you're
could
in
be
here,
something for people to check out.
mm,
#alive, huh, that
yeah.
seems interesting.
Well, Train to Busan,
Yeah,
I have seen,
I
Brian.
almost mentioned that one earlier. I've never seen it, but Chris watched it with my dad, and they loved it. Like Chris said, it was
I
awesome, so I
loved it,
almost
but
mentioned that one earlier.
I tell you, towards the end, it killed me. I
Really?
could not. Oh man, I don't want to give it away for anybody that hasn't seen it, but I was like, no, no,
I
no,
think
not do
Chris has seen All of Us Are Dead as well.
Steve said he saw Hellbound. He said Hellbound I
Hmm.
really liked, and he said All of Us Are Dead I liked as well. He must have watched these
Yeah,
without
I
me.
think I think Chris watched the All of Us Are Dead as well.
Mm.
I may be mistaken, but I think I remember him mention that one.
Alex says All of Us Are Dead is actually pretty good. I
Mhm.
watched it and loved it. And oh, Batman. Batman says, dang, they released Trick or Treat 86 just when I got broke. Well, if I didn't have my husband to buy it for me, I was broke too, Batman. So I feel your pain. There have been some things that I haven't been able to get because I was broke at the time. So Brian says hashtag alive is actually the Korean version of a movie they also made in America and Brazil. I forget the names, but literally same plot, very minor differences.
Oh, I'll have to check that one out.
Mm.
Chris may have he watches stuff sometimes that without me, like he's just sitting there watching them by himself. So it could be possible he's seen it before.
Mhm.
I'll have to ask him
Steve
about that.
watches a lot of stuff without me, either because I don't have the time or he's went back in the bedroom and watched it over a succession of nights or something.
Yeah.
Uh, but I was trying to think what we haven't talked to. Oh, we haven't talked about music or books or stories. So, is there any sort of music that it doesn't have to be Halloween music in particular. But is there any kind of music that gets you in the mood for Halloween, Candace?
Well, I always listen to, like, Danny Elfman, like the Beetlejuice soundtrack
Yeah.
or the Nightmare Before Christmas
Or
or
Dead Man's
anything.
Party. I heard that on
Yes,
a
the Edward
Halloween
Scissorhands,
one.
stuff like that, and surprisingly, which people are like, "That has nothing to do with Halloween," but I always it's something that, I don't know, I always relate it to Halloween. It's not Halloween at all. It might be the candy theme, but like Willy Wonka,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Willy Wonka is bizarre, though. I think that
my
fits in
favorite
with
movies.
that.
It's one of my very top favorite, like, in top 5 my favorite movies of all time. That's how much I love that film. It's absolutely just, I don't know, it's
Now,
undescribable.
do you like both versions? Do you like the Gene Wilder version and the uh
Mm-mm.
you don't like that original
I
version?
don't well, the original is my favorite.
Oh, okay.
Willy Wonka, yeah, the with Gene Wilder. That's
Okay.
that's the
But
one that
but
I
but
like.
they did one with Johnny Depp, right?
No, that's the one that I don't hate it. I actually went to the movies and watched it, and I bought that's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I got the poster of it and stuff. I
Uh,
liked it, but I didn't like the Deep Roy, like, Oompa Loompa, where it was just him in every
oh
one of
gosh,
them. There was no
yeah.
individuality with any of the Oompa Loompas, and the way that Johnny Depp played, and I love Johnny Depp,
Mhm.
but the way that he portrayed Willy Wonka was, I don't know, he was more well, he was creepy in a bad way. Now, Gene Wilder was creepy in a good way, I thought, like, in a horror way, because the scene where they're going through the tunnel and they're in the boat and he's sitting and talking about, he starts singing that song,
Yeah,
"Is it raining? Is it?" He's going through there and there's, like, showing chicken getting his head chopped off and
yeah,
centipede going over a man's face. That terrified me as a kid. It
yeah.
was so
Well, I would
gross. I loved
imagine,
it.
yeah.
I loved it. But the visuals for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the like the chocolate fountains and all the stuff, and I sing the soundtrack all the time, like with Noah and Chris and them, because we go in the car and I'll be listening. I love soundtracks anyway, like
Mhm.
to the Muppet Movie and stuff like that. I'm a big kid. This is the way I am.
Well, there's
Um,
nothing wrong with that. It'll keep us young, Candace. That's
but
what I
I cry, like, all the songs, like Cheer Up Charlie, his
mm,
mother sitting there because he's so bummed that he didn't, he thinks he's not gonna get this. But I love that soundtrack. I love the movie. It's just, I cry every time I watch it, at the end where he realizes that Charlie, is honest. He actually, because he came back and gave that everlasting gobstopper back to him, and
yeah.
he's like, "You've won, Charlie," and I love that movie. Nothing can compare to that movie
Yeah.
whenever it comes to, now, I love the book. I love Roald Dahl.
Mhm.
Noah, he's actually in the process of getting ready to read that for the first time because he's read, like, James and the Giant Peach,
Yeah,
Matilda.
I remember James and the Giant Peach when
Mhm.
I was younger. So
Yeah, he's read a lot of the Roald Dahl, books for his school, and, this is the one that he's not read yet, so I've been saving it until he got a little bit older because I
uh,
wanted him to comprehend it because he loves the film too.
mm,
But going back to the Johnny Depp version, I don't hate it,
uh,
but nothing would ever, it's like Beetlejuice to me. Willy Wonka
right.
is like Beetlejuice. Nothing could ever compare to that. I love Gene Wilder. I think he was one of the greatest actors of all time. I just love him.
Mm,
Especially with Richard Pryor. So
right.
I don't know. I need to get off of that because I'll talk about it out.
We could have a whole Willy Wonka show
Yeah,
probably
I love Willy Wonka.
sometime. That would be great, and it would give me an excuse to go back and watch that
Mhm.
movie again. That's
I
if I
love it.
need one. But I mean, um, but like with the exception of the typical favorites, like Batman mentioned, I played the Halloween theme all night
Yeah,
long a couple years ago. I mean, there's nothing like the original John Carpenter
yeah.
Halloween theme, but I also like, I have Trick or Treat on
Mhm.
vinyl now. I have Rocktober Blood.
Yeah.
on vinyl, which some people might not associate with Halloween, but it is called Rocktober Blood. So it always makes me think of the
Yeah.
Halloween season, the fall season. Um, the snozberries taste like snozberries. Um, Batman says, Dana, there is a new Ash versus Evil Dead game that is double featured with Halloween from Retro Realms. Ooh. You got me thinking about that. And Steve will say, oh, something else for her to get or want. I'm just like a big kid, too. So, yeah,
But,
can't help.
like, talk about music and stuff also, Dana, not horror related, but I love during this time, which I play that any time during the year, but it just seems a little bit more special during this time of year. It's like Dawkins or
Dawkins.
The Cure or like Susie Sue and the Banshees
Yeah.
and the Cramps and people like that. Like the
I know
Misfits.
some, yeah, the Misfits. That was another one I was going to say. Yeah, all those band or listen to Alice Cooper. I don't know if
Alice
Candace said
Cooper,
any
yeah,
Alice Cooper. Those are the kind of music that, while it might not necessarily all be Halloween
yeah,
themed, it may have a fall
it
theme or it
does,
might
yeah,
have a
horror theme,
makes me, yeah, horror themed. A lot of Alice Cooper stuff. In fact,
yes,
Alice Cooper did songs for Friday the 13th,
mhm,
Part 6.
yeah,
So if you want to hear a direct connection, Alice Cooper was also in John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness as a
yeah.
weird homeless
Monster
person.
Dog.
Monster Dog, that's right. Yeah, so I believe that Alice Cooper is a huge horror fan.
Definitely. I mean, his whole, like, persona is built around the horror genre, so, I mean, there's no escaping that, but then you have, like, people like, Screaming Jay Hawkins and,
Yeah,
Thriller with Michael Jackson and,
yeah.
you can just go Iron Maiden, stuff like that. You can find horror in anything like
The
that.
Ghostbusters theme, I've been
The
listening
Ghost
to
but
it a lot.
definitely, definitely. There's just so much. I mean, the Halloween Chris don't like me saying this. He said it's not a season, it's a way of life. The Halloween season, um, you could go so deep into the Killer Clowns theme, the Killer Clowns from Outer Space and
Hmm.
stuff like that. That's a classic. Noah loves that one, my son.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, you could even, if we're talking about like rock horror movies, a lot of that stuff, Black Roses, where the whole band
yeah,
turns into demons, you know, that, that all ties in with the spooky season. Not
yeah,
the
The
kid,
Gate.
not the kid version of it where everything is nice and sparkly and all that stuff, but
That's what I'm probably gonna watch tonight's The Gate, actually.
the
Um,
gate's another,
yeah,
yeah, that's
I
a good.
love that one.
Hey, DJ. I'm
Hey,
seeing all kinds of either people I haven't seen in a while or new people in here. So this is cool. And Batman says, "Amen, Candace. It's a way of life."
it is, it really is. I mean, there's no denying that. Not for
What
people like me and Dana and everybody on this chat.
what's Chris mean? Halloween season.
He don't wanna call it a season because it's not a season for
It's
him,
a
it's a
way
way
of
of life.
life. Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he doesn't like anybody saying that.
it could be and there's nothing wrong with it being a way of life. I don't think there's a bit wrong with that.
You ever heard that Type O Negative song, "Every Day is Halloween"?
Exactly, exactly. So it does not matter if you want to, if every day is Halloween for you. I'm here to say on my channel, you can come in here and you can say it's Halloween every day at my house, and I would not judge you
Yeah,
because I think that's fantastic. Batman says Halloween number one favorite holiday. You know, some people would think this is blasphemous, but my favorite holiday is Halloween, and
it's Chris's as well.
Christmas runs second. and people say, "Oh, that's blasphemy. What are you
No,
talking about?" You
no,
know.
Chris's favorite holiday is 100% Halloween. My favorite holiday is Christmas.
Mhm. And that's okay. That is okay too. Most people's favorite holiday is Christmas.
Yeah.
It is.
Like Chris says, because Christmas is a holiday, is a season,
Uh huh.
but Halloween as well. So that's just the
Yeah.
way I'm gonna look at it from now on. It's
I
just,
still want to make a shirt based on what Chris was saying in one of the streams where he said that, what the guy says on Return of the Living Dead. He says, "You think this is a costume? This is a way of life." I want to make a shirt like that
Mhm.
that says, either you think this is just a costume, horror movies are a way of life, or
Yeah.
Halloween's a way of life. I just think it'd be great to make a couple of shirts like that. Um, DJ says, now I'm hearing that song.
But
Yeah,
that's a
I
band
do.
that I listen to, during, especially, all the time, but especially during Halloween is Type O Negative. I mean, their
Yeah,
music is creepy and Halloween-esque,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I've listened to some of it, especially since, you know, Candace said, do a Peter Steele shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So to end this up before Candace never gets to her classwork tonight, I just want to close out this by talking about either books or short stories that we like to read
Oh, yeah.
during this season,
Mhm.
or way of life, as as Chris says. Hey, Tales Told in the Dark. I might just
Hey.
call you Tales. Says hello, ladies. I like being called a lady as opposed to like you know, uh,
Woman.
girl, or
Woman.
lady sounds good, or
Old lady.
old lady wouldn't sound so good. My mom always never minded being called old lady. My dad would say, "My old lady."
No. I have a pet peeve whenever it comes to that.
Steve's never called me old lady or old woman, and I'm,
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that. So, Candace, did you want to mention a few that you like, and then I'll mention a few, and we'll tie this thing up.
Well, I mean, Stephen King is probably gonna be your
That's
answer as
without
well.
question.
Carrie, number 1, definitely. But I'll tell you, my grandma was a storyteller, and she loved telling me stories growing up, and come to find out it was in, I think, one of those, scary, stories told in the dark, but she would
Mm,
just tell it to me. It was about the woman going out and finding a hairy toe in the woods,
yeah.
and she brought it back home, and, um late at night, she would hear something blowing in the wind, and "I want my hairy toe back." That creeped me out so bad, and she would tell it to me
Well,
all the time.
that stuff from like scary stories to tell in the dark,
Yeah.
that stuff was creepy.
It was, and our librarian,
Mhm,
when I was, like, in kindergarten and preschool, would read that to us, and I've always remembered the story because she read it more than once, and I
mhm.
never forgot it because the kids liked it so much, they requested it. They go, "Will you tell that story again? Will you tell that story again?" It was around, Halloween, and she told it a couple times, and it's the story about the lady with the green ribbon around her neck.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I remember that one.
And she always kept the green ribbon on her neck, and she got married, I think, and her husband always wondered why she had that green ribbon around her neck, never took it off, and then if you know the story, if you don't wanna know the spoiler, then pause it or fast forward.
Yeah, plug
Um,
your ears, do
yeah,
something.
plug your ears. But when the green ribbon was taken off her neck, her head fell off. So
Yeah,
but it scared us, we did, we loved being scared, as a kid anyway, but looking at
I
that
think
stuff
you
as an
must
adult,
have
I'm like,
had a
"Oh
cool
gosh."
librarian,
Yeah,
Candace, that would read that to you.
never forget that. I mean, that's where I heard that for the first time, and,
Mm.
she would read it, and it had pictures, and
Oh,
there was one that from I think it was from that too, about maybe a ghost dog or something, I can't remember.
I think there was one, yeah, and there were like 3 separate books, I think.
Yeah. But, Goosebumps, R.L. Stein stuff, that was a
I
big
didn't
thing for
read
me.
Goosebumps, but I read Fear Street.
I read both. I read the Goosebumps as a kid, and then as I got a little bit older, I got all the Fear Street books, and, that's just classic,
Oh, yeah.
horror for kids, and it's
That's
wonder
the
and
stuff I
teens.
bought from the when they had the scholastic book fairs. That's the
Oh, I
kinda
loved
stuff
it.
I zeroed in on as a kid.
Seen it not to take up more time or nothing, but I seen this shirt, and I said, That's what I literally am craving." And it said, "Craving those old school scholastic school, vibes,
Yeah, I mean, those were
scholastic,
great.
book fair vibes," it
Book
said.
fairs were as
I
I
loved
don't
it.
normally like using the word the bomb because that's a new generation word, but they were the bomb back
They
when we were
were.
kids.
And did you notice that they were mostly or around my area in, like, October?
Yeah, come to
Because they
think
would
of it.
coincide with the beginning of Book It program.
Right,
And
yeah,
see, Noah is on the Book It program, so he
mhm.
still gets to participate in that. So, um, that's something I'm glad they didn't take away because I loved the Book It program. I would read and read and read just to earn those little personal pan pizzas.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Did you ever do the Book It
I
program,
think
Diane?
I did because I remember the pizza thing, and so I think I did.
Oh, I did. I did a lot, and Chris did too. No, I don't think Chris. If he's in
Chris
here, he could. I don't think they had that at his school. I was like, what? I think Chris is the one that told me they never had. He didn't know what it was. I was like, are you serious?
Chris is in here because he says the bomb is a new generation term. Somebody better tell the Gap band. Yeah, he's right about that.
But what did you read,
Well,
and what do you go to?
s- early on it was Fear Street. I guess Goosebumps was after my time, or I probably would have read those. But I read Fear Street. I read any kind of like if I could get Edgar Allan Poe like
Yeah.
short stories, I
Yes.
ate those things up. I loved them. The Telltale Heart, The Cask of Amontillado,
Annabelle
all of
Lee.
those. Yeah, just
Yeah.
all of those Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe, here's another newer term. They were my jam
Yeah.
back then.
Especially the
Edgar
Telltale
Allan Poe,
Heart. That was a
yes,
creepy ass story.
yeah.
I
And
thought.
the Cask of Amontillado, I thought was creepy too. The whole idea of this one guy being so annoyed by this other guy that he waits until he's drunk and walls him up, like to be rid of him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sadistic.
Edgar
That's
Allan Poe, he was something else, I'll tell you that right now.
and then when I got older, the Stephen King stuff started moving in, like, and I started finding those at like we even had book fairs when I was in high school. I don't know if they were the scholastic ones, but we had book fairs. And I would buy Stephen King books every single time I would go. Because I couldn't help myself. I'd be like, Dad, you got to give me some money because I gotta get some Stephen King books, and he'd be like, all right, here you go, but that's it. Um, and from all of that, I started moving into reading Peter Straub. Peter Straub, Ghost Story. Um, what's the other? I think it was called If You Could See Me Now or something like that. That one was another great one. Um, Ghost Story though was absolutely fantastic. If you've never read Peter Straub's Ghost Story,
I've never read it, no.
read it. That it'll send shivers up and down your spine reading it.
Talking about books, you wanna know the book that really, really scared the living daylights out of me?
What's that?
The Amityville Horror.
Yeah, the Amityville Horror. Now, whether you believe or don't believe, what happened to the Lutz family or the DeFeo family before them. Whether you believe that stuff or not, that book will scare the crap
That
out of
book absolutely terrified me. I remember reading it in study hall.
you. Mhm.
And, when you really get into a book, everything around you, all the noise just goes away, and you're in that book, like, you're immersed in that book, like, your mind is totally immersed in that book. That's how I was, and somebody came and, like, put their hand on me to tell me it was time to go or something like that. I forget what, and I jumped. I remember I actually, like, came back to reality and jumped because it was during, like, a really, really scary, um, part,
Mhm.
and, I remember just I was so intrigued by it, though,
Yeah.
that I couldn't wait to put it, like, I could not wait for school to be over for
Mhm.
me to take that book home and finish reading it, and I read it all in one day. I started it at school, and I had to I remember going out and taking the trash out, and it was fall, and the leaves were down on the ground and stuff like that. I always remember it was cool and crisp outside. I remember going outside and walking and taking that trash and reading that book while I was taking the trash out. I just couldn't
Yeah.
put it down.
Yeah, you're
So
so
I was so
connected with
immersed in it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember that, and also The Night Stalker, about Richard Ramirez. That
Oh
book
my
was
God,
like,
that book terrified me. Helter Skelter
mm,
terrified me because
yeah,
that stuff was real
it was
stuff.
real. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it went into detail. It didn't hold, there's no holds
Yeah.
bars whenever it came to that, and it just really I remember being messed up after reading that book. I was like, "Oh my gosh."
The Helter Skelter book, now people that know me nowadays and know how much I'm into horror and stuff
Yeah,
probably don't believe me on this stuff. Now, Candace would, I know, but some people might not. It took me 3 tries to finish Helter Skelter up
yeah.
because I made the mistake, number 1, of reading it at night. Don't
Oh,
do that with the Helter Skelter book. And every time I would get to the part about the Manson clan doing the creepy crawls where they would sneak into people's houses and not kill anybody,
yeah.
but they would dress all in black and stuff, and they would actually see how quiet they could be and not wake up anybody in the house. And then when it talked about them cutting the screens in Sharon Tate's house and getting in there, I was like, nope, no, no, we're putting this
No,
down.
that is one that I borrowed from
Mm,
the library, um, early 2000s. Um, and I started reading it, but I never finished it.
mhm.
I got maybe
It's a big
3
old
or 4
book.
it was big, yeah, it's like 3 or 4 chapters in, and I never finished it, and I always meant to go back and get it, but I never finished reading it, but I've heard so many people talk about it, you know, but
It's a very well written book.
yeah,
Say what you will about Vincent Bugliosi. I know he had some detractors over time, but that is a very well written book. It's a
yeah,
very well rounded book. I feel like he covered all the different topics. He kind of, I mean, I know this sounds creepy, but he kind of gave us a front row seat
like an
into
inside
Charles
look.
Manson's mind and
Mhm,
how his mind worked. And people might say, no, 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 I don't want to know how that man's mind worked. Um, but I think that it doesn't mean that what they did was acceptable. It's not. Committing those vicious murders is in no way acceptable. But it gives you a better understanding, whether you want to or not,
yeah,
of how um, and I hate to say deranged mind, but how a deranged mind
yeah,
works.
and when talking about Charles Manson, a lot of people may not realize this, but he was a very talented singer.
He
A very
was,
talented
believe it
lyricist.
or not.
He could write songs. Um, he could have possibly made it if he and I think a lot of that, you know, kinda pushed him, like, with the Beach Boy type
Yeah, it's
stuff
a
to
lot
do
of
with the
that
Beach Boys.
anger, that
Mhm.
bitterness.
But
And they
he was very
actually,
talented.
the Beach Boys actually, I hate to say this, but they actually stole
They
one
stole a
of Manson's
song.
songs and
They
put it
did.
on their album.
Mhm. And that angered him, but it didn't, but you have somebody that is they're struggling mentally anyway, and then you bring this factor that their work was stolen and used, and I can understand his anger, but
Mhm.
manifesting it into what he did, I mean, that was just totally,
Yeah,
it's
and that
psycho.
was not only against the Beach Boys, but Terry Melcher as well. Who Terry Melcher was someone that worked with the Beach Boys,
Mhm.
and Terry Melcher used to own the house where Sharon Tate lived, and
Where they
you know
thought.
they were instructed, his family, as they were called, the Manson family, he instructed them, go there and kill everybody there.
Yeah, thinking that it was still, part of that Beach Boy,
Yeah.
I guess, posse, but it wasn't.
And then Manson went on to have a deep-seated hate for anybody with money, anybody with success. He felt bitter, he felt betrayed, and he, unfortunately, a mind that is not stable will manifest that in a very uh, unacceptable way.
Yes. He found fame,
Hmm. Yeah, he
but not
certainly
in a
found
good way.
fame. Yeah.
It's arguably, I believe Manson probably is probably the most prolific, and some people say, "Well, he's not a serial killer," but I say he is.
Yeah, because he had other people go out and do his dirty work, but he has been accused of killing people. There was Shorty Shea, who was
Yeah,
at the Spawn Ranch. He was I think it's believed that he was cut up and buried in the desert in a million pieces. I know
yeah,
I might be exaggerating, but
yeah,
he angered Manson.
yeah.
So Manson very well could have killed him,
Had him killed.
or had him killed. And he also, I think that music teacher that they attacked, didn't he cut off his ear, or was that Tex that cut off his ear? Somebody
I
cut
can't remember.
Rago's ear off, or Bobby Boussolet, or one of the bunch. Um, but anyway, but true crime, I don't want to say we have a love for it, but I always say it's a morbid
Interest. It
curiosity
is. It's
with
an
that.
interest. I mean, I grew up. My grandpa would get True Detective magazines,
Mhm.
and I would look at them. As a little kid. I mean, if you remember, do you remember True Detective magazines in the late
I
'80s,
remember
early
it, but
'90s?
I don't think I ever read it, but
Hmm.
I know of
Yeah,
it.
they would have stuff. I remember this one, and it just stuck with me. I was just a little kid, probably I mean, I could read. I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and there's this um, article in one of those True Detective magazines about somebody super gluing somebody's nose and mouth shut, and I thought that was like
Oh my
horrific.
god, that, because I'm so claustrophobic now, that just terrifies me
Yeah,
just
like
the thought of it.
that's crazy that this
Yeah,
stuff goes on, and that kind of put me into the whole true crime type.
yeah.
You know, guess it kind of 'cause I already knew who Marilyn Manson, oh my gosh, Charles Manson and people like that were, and, um, it just kind of boosted my, like you said, like a morbid curiosity of what is this,
It's
this
like
is.
it's something that you're not supposed to be seeing, and
Yeah,
you're looking in a peephole, and you're not really, you know it's wrong, you know you shouldn't be looking at it, but you can't help it.
mhm.
You can't
But
shut
I
your eyes to
think
it.
people from that generation that is into all that kinda thing, that kinda has that curiosity, it might also makes people a more cautious person. It has
Exactly.
me.
My
It
mom
has me.
used to ask me, "Why do you read all that stuff, Dana? Why are you watching this stuff about Ted Bundy?" Because one of my, I don't want to say favorite, because it sounds like I'm in love with Ted Bundy, but I do love Mark Harmon. I think
Mhm.
Mark Harmon was always a nice looking man,
Yeah,
but he played Ted Bundy in The Deliberate Stranger,
yeah.
which was an old miniseries. And man, Mark Harmon played Ted Bundy fantastic because I could believe that he was doing those things for
Yeah.
the. And my mom would say, "Dana, why are you watching that?" Because I was in my upper teens, probably close to 20 years old when I was watching that.
Mm.
She was like, "Why are you watching this stuff about these women that are around your age being killed by this guy?" And I looked at her and I said almost the same thing that Stephen King said to his family when they asked him, "Why are you reading about these true crime things?" I said, "Mom," I said, "I want to know what kind of people to watch out for."
Yeah.
And I said, "There's a certain look that these people have. You can look at pictures of them."
Yeah.
And I said, "I don't want to get close to somebody that could do these awful things to me."
Yeah.
And she said, "All right, well, I wouldn't want to watch that stuff." Um, Batman says, "Danny, your mom might be afraid that you're going to be like Kathleen Turner from Serial Mom." Well, I think she was afraid I was going to have nightmares or just
Yeah.
become so freaked out that, I wouldn't want to go out with a man or, anything like that, afraid they were going to strangle and stab me to death or something. Um, like Zodiac. Yeah, the Zodiac killer is another one. But guys and gals, I would love to go on all night with this, but I do have to work in the morning, and Candace has got a lot of schoolwork. So we've went 2 hours and 10 minutes on this, and
Way over what we thought we were. Me and Dana like to talk, so
but we we love it that y'all have been active in the chat.
yes.
I've loved talking about all things Halloween and everything surrounding it.
Mhm.
And I almost hate to end it on serial killer talk, but um, I guess we'll tie up everything with a nice, neat little bow. And those pictures, I only showed a couple of pictures, one from Candace, one from me. But I tell you, the next Friday Foolish we have, we'll cycle through the rest of those pictures at the beginning so y'all can see them. Thank you, Batman. Batman says, "Great stream."
Thank you.
And I also, before we get off here, I want to, as always, I want to thank Candace for being my lovely co host for
Thank
Friday
you.
Foolish. And I want to thank everybody that was in the chat. And I also want to thank all of you that have continued to support
Yeah.
me and the channel and the programming that I'm putting out. And you support me and Candace when we do Friday Foolish or we do watch alongs or whatever. You support me and Chris or whoever is on here with me doing these things. And for that, I thank you.
Yeah.
And I may I don't want to say for sure because, I might wake up with a 101 temp tomorrow. I hope not. But what I wanted to do, since this is the weekend before Halloween week, I wanted to do some watch alongs and I wanted to do a watch along for the WNUF Halloween special. I will try to find a link for those of you that don't, already have a copy of it in case you want to follow along. And in honor of Trick or Treat coming out on 4K, I would love to do Sunday night at 7 Eastern Time. I'd love to do a Trick or Treat watch along. Now, we're probably all going to have to watch the crappy version, but um, I
I'm
just hope
excited about seeing that crisp version.
I am too. Even though Steve downloaded a high def version under the Ragman title, and it looks good. I was actually watching it a little bit earlier. I'm hoping that the 4K looks even better than that, but we'll see. But yes, and the Joe Bob's Beelzebub Bash is tonight. Chris is right, so don't forget that at 9 Eastern time, I believe. Isn't that right, Chris? I hope so, because if not, I'm going to be late for it.
And I would also like to say, if you've not given this video a thumbs up, please do so now. Give
Yes,
Dana some support. If you're not
appreciate it.
following her, give her some subscribe. I'm sure that she'll always post something that you're going to like. and thank you for watching this Halloween special. I've enjoyed it. Dana, thank you for having the idea of doing this. I think that
Oh
this
yeah.
is a really good episode. I mean, I enjoy every one of them.
But this
But
has
it's
been one of
also
those
taken me down.
extra special ones.
Yeah, it's taken me down memory lane. It's got me into the Halloween spirit, and I'll tell you, this year, that Halloween spirit's kind of been a little bit off.
Mine
So
has too. I don't know what it is, but it has
yeah,
for
so
me
this has
as
kind of
well.
got me into that spirit a little bit more.
Yes, spook that like button, Batman. Yes, that is correct. So we're gonna get out of here. Me and Candace are off like dirty shirts. Our shirts are not dirty, but we're off like a couple of dirty shirts. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. And
Yep.
pick you up a shirt if you feel so compelled at
Yes.
deaditesondeck.com. I have that design up like I
And she could
promised.
do customs
Yes,
too.
I can do custom stuff. I'm getting ready to do Candace a
Yes.
custom young blood shirt and tote bag.
Woo!
So
I'm
if the
excited
tote
about that.
bags turn out right, like I want them to, folks, then look for those to make their appearance for $15 a piece on the
Good deal.
deaditesondeck.com shop here, hopefully very, very soon. So we're out of here, folks. But y'all, thanks for joining us for this extra special Halloween bash or special or
Mhm.
whatever you want to call it of Friday Foolish. And we'll see everybody next time. Bye,
Happy
folks.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween, gang.